there a need to go into executive session tonight for any
Got
reason?
3 short personnel matters, one involving listers, one involving the police, and one involving the ZBA.
Anybody
I
else?
can't hear John.
He has 3 reasons to go into executive session tonight. One for Lister, one for police, and one for ZBA.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything? Hearing none, do I have a motion to go into executive session, Martha? We have a motion, a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Carries. Is there any need to amend tonight's agenda? Hearing none, and need a motion to adopt the original agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Ayes have it. Select Board minutes of July 3rd. Do we have any omissions, corrections? Hearing none, we'll sign those. Might as well just sign that. That's a special. Joe wasn't here, I don't think. No, I don't believe he
That's
was.
right, he was,
No, Joe wasn't here. That was a special meeting we did on the phone with Dave. You
yeah.
and
You didn't quite make it, we were stuck at J&R.
I got here, but I was late.
Mr. Kelly.
I was here too early, and then I was
Yes,
late.
that's what I heard.
Still missed the meeting.
Okay. Do we have any questions on the orders? We have an FY 19.
I have one update from the last time. Joe had asked about repairs to Truck 5, which were significant, and I spoke with Greg Eastman today, who stated that all that work had to do with a new radiator for the truck and then a follow-up visit for a hose that needed to be installed as well.
Thank you, John.
I've got a question on number 1035, G-Stone, 1740 for that F-350. Is that the truck that we're keeping when we get our new Chevy?
Yes, that's the plan, and I can tell you that was a multi-point inspection, replaced a TPMS light sensor, I'm not quite sure what that is. We also had ball joint and bushings loose, and a couple of tie rods had some play in them. There was also a replacement glow plug. There was a replaced blown bulb, repaired front brakes, pads, and rotors from rust, a brake lining kit, and a complete transmission service for that total price.
Okay, all right. And could whoever's scratching the table next to the microphone stop, please?
It's kind of hard when I'm signing.
Oh, okay. Fine quieter.
Unless you want me to get a stamp. It'll just be one of those.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Just makes it hard to hear John when there's that constant scratching, that's all. That's the only question I had on the orders.
Okay.
I had one here, the transfer station roof, 216, that's Rutland Herald. What were we advertising?
We were advertising for contractors, and you're stealing my thunder, because I was about to tell you that we tried the Brandon Reporter for local contractors, and nobody showed up.
Nobody shows
And we
up.
applied to the advertisement to the Rutland Herald, and nobody showed up. Plan C is to reach out directly to contractors and say, get over here. And Plan D, I guess, is to talk with the highway crew and see if they might be interested and able to help with that project.
Might be something we could do in-house with
Could be.
with a little assistance
Yep.
from outside.
Could be, so we'll explore any option, because we need to repair that leaky roof and perhaps extend the roof over the garbage compactor to keep the water and the snow and ice out. That's the idea.
Okay, thank you.
Fast and Furious. Town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a final reminder, the Pittsford Village Farm Touch-A-Truck event is scheduled for Saturday, July 20th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. As the selectmen here know, tax rates have been set. The select board convened a special meeting on July 10th to set rates sufficient to generate revenue to fund the budgets which were approved at town meeting in March. Tax bills have been mailed out. Hopefully everyone's got theirs by now, featuring payments due on August 15th, September 16th, and November 15th. In order to act quickly in the event of a next round of grants for the installation of an electrical vehicle charging station, the town manager has contacted a firm specializing in those installations, Cummings Electric. We've spoken by phone, they've Googled the property, and hopefully they'll soon be issuing a quote, so we have it in the can when we have another opportunity to take advantage of it, of that program, which pays 90% of the project costs typically. In recent years, the rec area lifeguards have pressed for a shelter in which to ride out storms which occasionally pass through the rec area. The rec director and the rec committee agree that that would be a good idea. Discussions regarding the size and type of structure desired are ongoing, and there may be a proposal sometime for the select board to consider involving some sort of pad and a simple lean-to or other type of structure.
What happened to the money that was raised last year?
They do still have that money.
So it's just
and
set aside
It's
and
just been
waiting
set
to
aside, yeah.
add to it?
And there may be need to add to it. They're looking also at, or talking about looking at fun run race revenues as well, so stay tuned. The old police cruiser, the older of the two, is now up for sale in an online auction through govdeals.com, with whom we've worked before, in the hope that the town may do better than the trade-in credit now offered by the dealership, which will be selling us the new cruiser. Again, so stay tuned on that. The town manager will be out of the office on Monday and Tuesday of next week, the 22nd and 23rd. And the select board meeting, next meeting, will take place 3 weeks from tonight due to a quirk of the calendar. There's extra Wednesdays in August, so we won't be meeting again until August 7th. Therefore, there may be a need to call select board members to sign on any time-sensitive accounts payable in a special order. If that's needed, we'll be in touch.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, quick. Any questions for John? No? Hearing none? Any selectmen remarks tonight? Hearing none? Public comment? We have some public tonight, which is great. Hearing none, we'll go.
There's three here.
Yes.
Yeah, Dave Rosado.
Hi, Dave.
I don't know what event precipitated this discussion on the permit for gatherings.
Oh, that'll be taken up later, Dave.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll be during the hearing. We're gonna go into old business, and we'll continue the discussion regarding the request for funding for the Chittenden Dam breach siren alert system.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we've got a little bit more information than we had at the last meeting. Initially, Jan Soterakis said that she believed the number of Pittsford homes that would benefit from that siren in terms of an early warning in the event of a dam breach to be about 28 to 30 houses compared to about 100 for Chittenden. So she suggested that if people were interested in making a donation toward the expense of installation only for these sirens, that a Pittsford share on an equitable basis might be something like 23% of the project cost. More recently, she was in touch and said that she had spoken with Bob Case, who I guess is another emergency planner in Chittenden, and they have a conservative estimate of Pittsford homes at 19, but that number of Pittsford homes that could be benefited by the siren, particularly those near Shadow Lane, a little bit up the hill, might be closer to a total of 25 to 30. Again, she says she leaves it to the Pittsford Select Board as to, how, if and how they'd like to maybe make a contribution toward the cost of installing those sirens. She said in her emails that she continues to press for help from the corporate department of GMP, hasn't had kind of final word from them about what they're willing to do beyond what they're already doing, which is providing meeting space and supporting our efforts to put an emergency action plan together in the event of a catastrophic breach. They've been good hosts for our events and helpful with information about the dam, providing tours to our working group, et cetera, et cetera. She does point out that they have maybe 40 dams across the state, and that might be why they are a little bit hesitant to offer money for sirens in this event, on the theory that maybe they would have to face similar requests elsewhere. That's just theorizing on her part, I believe.
I say they're being poor neighbors. If they own the dam, they ought to be responsible for it.
They should be.
I guess the question is whether the select board wishes to follow up on Jan's request for help installing the additional sirens that she and her fellows in Chittenden thinks is essential to giving early warning to people in the catastrophic but unlikely event of a dam breach.
So what are we
Didn't
talking?
Didn't I? Whoop,
Go ahead, Dave.
didn't I see in one of the emails, John, that Chittenden Select Board isn't going to approve any money for this year?
I don't think that's how I interpreted it. Let me take a look and see if I can find the exact one, Dave. Yes, you are right. They said that they were not able to carve it out in this fiscal year, and that they may be planning to budget for it in fiscal year 2021. So on that basis, maybe you'd like to table it till you know more from what GMP is going to do, if anything, and what
then we
Chittenden's
could
going
build
to
it
do.
into our budget if we have to also. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So let's,
Have we ever heard anybody tell us just what the power company's obligations are in regards to the liability for that reservoir up there? I believe that the power company have got a bunch of rules and regulations regarding safety that they probably were upgraded after the 47 flood, but I can't believe that what they're responsible for providing some kind of protection service. And this siren thing I'm not saying it's a bad thing by any means, but it's kind of a personal thing that somebody is taking upon themselves to try to get up and going. And I think that the power company and the state and federal, maybe Butch here would know something about the rules and regulations that come with that. From his standpoint, he might be able to add something to satisfy at least my knowledge on what the power company is liable for, and I can't believe that they're just looking over their shoulder and forgetting about everybody who lives up there.
No, I'm certain that's not the case, but so far I've been talking with Jan. She's the emergency management planner in Chittenden and a East Pittsford resident who's kind of been living this issue for a couple of years or more. But why don't I go directly to the horse's mouth, ask GMP exactly what they believe their roles and responsibilities are, what they have been doing. They can probably document even better than I can what they have done to deal with this scenario and whether there's any more that they should be doing. I'll be happy to ask GMP that and get that in writing.
Butch, you're going to need that.
So, thank you. The Department, I believe the Department of Environmental Conservation does have a dam safety division that inspects dams and makes suggestions to the owners of the dams, even if they're private dams. Don't know what the regulations are as what would be towards Green Mountain Power, but I suspect that the manager hit it on the head, that they want to be very, very careful because they do form a lot of dams much bigger than Chittenden Dam, and so I would think it would be behoove to check with GMP, and I can get John the information from the dam safety folks, because they can tell you better about what they have rules and regulations regarding this. I've never heard of a rule or regulation regarding.
And there might be reports as to what they think of the safety of it, just like our bridge inspection team does.
Last time I knew they had not inspected Chittenden, they did Waterbury Dam last year.
Okay.
They do some of the small private dams, but Chittenden has not been on the radar.
Okay.
So maybe we should, I think we probably should table this for further discussion later on.
Good.
A motion to table it?
Motion.
We have a motion to table.
Second.
It's been tabled. Okay. Consider options regarding sidewalk and curb restoration project.
Yes. Well, I know that that was the request of the board last time to put this on the agenda, and we have invited Butch to be here to help us kind of think about what the ways forward for the project may be. I did talk also with our potential contractor, Wilk Paving, who says a fair rule of thumb would be to add 5% over his cost of last year, which was $185,000. Of course, if we're thinking about realistically doing construction next year, that might be another 5%. So we're getting close to 200,000, which is what we kind of had ballparked it at anyway.
So I guess Butch, it's back to your corner. Is there anything else, anywhere else we could be looking for some funds?
The grant money is in the 21, no, it's in this year's.
It's in this?
It's in the FY '21 transportation budget.
The 100,000 that's already been awarded?
Yeah, that's, actually they have almost 150,000, 50,000 for engineering supervision and all the other miscellaneous expenses that come with that. So the money is there, it's still sitting there. It's been there a long time, it's getting pretty old. That is a grant. And I do know that in this year's transportation bill, there's a new stipulation on Class 2 highway money. Now you can use Class 2 highway money for not only just Class 2 highways, but you can use it for park and rides, you can use it for sidewalk upgrade, for curbing, and so on and so forth. So that money, which was restricted before to just the highway work, has now been opened up to do other things. That may or may not be a possibility the board wants to consider.
Of course, we already budget and expect
Right,
that money
for-
anyway, and it kind of goes directly into the highway fund to meet the costs that we expect year to year. So it still would be an extraordinary expense. It's not like new money, for example. No.
As far as getting another grant, I would say that your chances are realistically slim to none, because matter of fact, we had an issue with the auditor on some grants that were being administered and awarded by the Agency of Agriculture, and using grant money to match their grant money from another division of state government. That's not legal. You can't use one pot of state money to match grant and another pot of state money. The only way you can do that is an act of the legislature. And it's about, it was a long, we actually did that for this other program, which is a multi-million-dollar water quality program. But it was a 2-year process to be able to do that. And the auditor did an audit for the Agency of Agriculture, called them out on that. And so we had to do some special language. I doubt we'll see that again. It was a 1-year deal. So 100,000 is there. It's getting old. The older it gets, the more fragile it gets. And you are in danger of losing that money because it's getting pretty old and there's a lot of demands. So to move forward, John made a statement on the Class 2 money, which the opportunity's there. I guess I'll have to leave that up to you as to how the board wants to proceed with that, if you want to proceed at all. I mean, I have a personal feeling on that, which I'll review myself. After 10 to 7 meetings.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that opinion.
Yeah. So that's that's the official stance where Montpelier would probably stand with that.
You said it was closer to 150 though?
Well, it's 150, but
But
the
that's-
grant's for 100.
Okay.
See,
Other
they're
money
spending
is
the
for,
50 engineering.
Administration costs, engineering
What they-
inspection costs,
yeah.
all those other miscellaneous things that
Yep.
we don't normally.
So
The
theoretically,
efficiencies of any V-Trans project.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, the
so-
efficiency. Right now they're chipping away at that $50,000 just to keep the money where it is. There's an expense to that.
Okay.
In terms of just big fiscal picture, if you're interested in hearing that, this year, because of significant winter salt overruns of 40,000, another 10,000 in overtime that were beyond the budget, we're looking at a highway fund deficit of in the neighborhood $60,000 to $70,000. At first blush, there would be some tweaking when the auditor gets here. And we are also looking at a salt shed project that will be done sometime soon, which will require about $130,000 in our local matching funds. So that's going to put some pressure on the town resources. Yes, we have different pockets within the highway fund, capital budget, bridge fund, but what I'm trying to tell you is that there's not much of any budget balance or surplus in the highway fund, and we've already decided to go forward with the salt shed project, which is going to cost us about $130,000 that we're going to have to find some way to fund going forward. Doesn't mean you can't do it and get creative with moving money around from one account to the next, but I just would advocate for some caution about the fact that we do have limited resources.
I'm just wondering if we can somehow borrow from ourselves like we did on a police cruiser and put it into another year. This extra 50,000 that the school decided that they don't believe the safety of the children is that important, apparently, in front of the school, which I'm strongly against that. I think, and I was also told that they didn't think it was in the parameters of the will, but I find that hard to believe when we've had several lawyers look at it, and they seem to think it was in the parameters. So I think they're mistakenly wrong in this whole project. So I'm strong in favor of getting this project done somehow, because we know the best possible date was 2028 to do anything, and that's not going to happen. We know that reality. It's not going to happen. So I personally don't want to see some kid getting hurt or killed on that stretch of road, which it's just a matter of when's it going to happen. Eventually it's going to. So I say we try to dig up 50,000 somewhere else and go with the project. That's my thought. I don't know what the rest of the board feels.
Well, personally, I think it's for something that's going to be torn up in another 10, 20 years, whatever it is, it's way too much money. I think the thing we need there is a curb. If you had a curb there, to differentiate the road from the sidewalk, 99% of the problem would be solved. It's one thing if in town we had all beautiful sidewalks and this was the worst one, but this one isn't any worse than any of our other sidewalks. So, I mean, I don't know if there's a way we could do this, but to me, we need to look into going to the state and saying, look, we don't have the money, we want to put a curb there, can we do it? And then find out how much it would cost to put the curb in.
Well,
That
what would be the liability of just a curb where cars jump a curb and does damage to a car? I see problems happening there with just a curb.
Well, that's going to happen anywhere, even with your brand new sidewalk, Tom.
Yeah,
They
but
jump
you're
out
gonna-
and hit somebody.
You jump the curb, you're gonna jump up onto a curb and, but if you jump over a 6-8 inch curb with nothing behind it, I see a problem there.
Well, what about putting it out to bid? We only ever got the one bid.
Right.
Well, here's the question. If we want any of these grant funds, which would pay half of the project costs, we have to do it V-Trans way. And
Right.
there's no way V-Trans will
They wouldn't
allow
allow
something
that.
as kind of
No.
Band-Aidy as a curb without sidewalk, to lack of a better phrase. If we want to go it alone, with our own money,
Well, then that's
we'd still
different.
have to talk to V-Trans,
Yeah.
because it's
They
their
may
right
not
of
allow
way.
it, yeah.
So they are the 800-pound gorilla that we have to try to work with.
And David's right, there are some of the other sidewalks there in worse shape.
Oh, they're definitely.
But they're not next to the road.
But they're not next to the road right there where there's an intersection that's heavily turning to go to the police academy and fire academy. All day long, cars are stopping, backing up. You sit there, somebody should just go down there and sit there for a couple hours and watch how often that happens. It's mind-boggling how many cars will stop and cars will pull out to the right and pass 2-3 cars because they can't wait 2 seconds. And that happens all the time.
Yeah,
So-
but they aren't going to drive over a 6 or 8 inch curb if it was there.
No, but the state's not gonna let you do it. That's the problem.
Well, have we asked?
No, but I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, we should pursue some
Yeah.
other avenue and, check out other bids as well.
State rep sitting here shaking his head, not gonna happen.
I'm sorry to the board members, but don't even have to ask.
You don't even have to ask. He can tell you right now it's a no.
Okay, well,
If you're gonna provide
you know,
grant money, you're gonna build it. even
To their
if it's a
specs.
Asphalt curb and asphalt sidewalk, you're gonna build it to state spec.
I'm not talking asphalt, I'm talking a granite curb.
Well, granite curb is, well, never mind.
That's a lot more expensive than the concrete
Oh,
curb we
gosh,
had bid.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
there's no wiggle room knowing that they are going to eventually be redoing that
That's why we got the
section.
grant. That's why we got the grant, was temporary funding to improve that section of sidewalk because of the safety issue.
Right, but what I'm asking is that temporary funding also go along with like temporary construction, something that's wouldn't normally be up to spec if it was something that was supposed to be there for 30 years.
Granite curb is a 30-year curb. Granite curb is almost 5 times as much per
Yeah.
foot as
Hmm.
concrete curb. So 5 times plus
Yeah.
per foot.
I have
Lance.
a suggestion for you. You make a good point. That is the intersection with Furnace Road. That's where the real issue is.
That's the issue right there, the problem.
It's against the state law to pass on the right at an intersection. So what they've done in several places in the state, A, they put up signs saying it's against the law to pass on the right. They've also put up steel posts in that section where people tend to turn right. And that has discouraged, I'm thinking of 314 and Route 2 up in Grand Isle where they've done that. And the sheriff's department has enforced that. And guess what? People are no longer passing on the right at that intersection. And I think you could enforce that. And put up the signs so people are aware that passing on the right at an intersection is against state law.
There's signs right out here, coming on Pine Woods Road, and they do it every day. I turn that road every day, and they still go past, there's a great big sign there, huge sign.
What, no passing on the right?
Yeah,
That's correct.
oh,
I
yeah.
feel.
Joe, he's got the,
It's temporary, what about some decorative guardrails, just in that one section that's of concern? Leave the sidewalk, it could be a lot cheaper. You have a hard barrier, could be a flow.
that's something the state would have to tell us,
Right.
but
Yeah, I don't think they ever go.
I don't think they're gonna go out without than just a sidewalk there. But,
Typically for the state standard on something like that, everything you put within the highway travel way, in the right of way, has to be what they call frangible, unless there's a throwback guardrail or WB guardrail or something along those lines.
How many feet of guardrail
Yeah.
you're talking in that area?
So that would be, you'd have to ask AOT on
Yeah.
that. Not sure what their answer would be. That would cost you probably more money than the sidewalk. for the time you're done.
I wouldn't doubt it. Joe?
This whole issue, it has come to me over the last couple of years since we've been haggling about all this. It's a state problem. It's not a town problem. It never has been a town problem. And it never will be a town problem unless we make it a town problem, and that's just where we're trying to do right now. The state has full control over that. We can't go down there and do nothing without the state approving it. The state has allowed it to get into the shape it's in. It's not good. They came down here and out of shame for, I believe, out of shame for the way they neglected the situation, they agreed to give us $100,000 just to get us off their back. Why wouldn't it be a good idea to put some pressure on them? They're going to fix that road sooner or later, and probably going to be later. We've talked about that. But let's put some pressure on them to get them to consider moving that project a little bit faster than they've been doing it. If it's such a bad thing, and it is a bad thing, they should, common sense would tell them, it tells us it's a problem down there. Let's see if we can't get the state to take the initiative to fix the darn thing. It ain't a town problem. The town can't fix it if they want to. Without the state's the state holds the whip.
Fine, Joe, I would suggest then that the board pen a letter to the Secretary of Transportation with that opinion, and then copy me on the letter, and I'll advocate for it.
And we're liable to get the same thing when we did the bridge down there.
Yeah.
That you take our money and put the bridge in there, we're telling you, or
Right.
you don't get any bridge at all.
Just for your information, we are moving forward. The next segment, segment 1, will bid in August. And we were told that the other day. We met with AOT on another issue. And after that segment 4 is next. And that's segment 1 scheduled end to end for 2 years. Segment 4 will be, as far as I know, 2.5 years construction. So now we're at 4.5 years, and the years are adding up.
Yeah.
And then segment 3 is for 2.5 years, or possibly more, provided there's no delay on section 1, 4, or 3. So now we're into 2028, because they will not do, they've already made a statement, they will not do more than one segment at a time because of traffic.
Well, if this is such a bad thing as
And we're on the fast track.
some of us think it is, then let's put some pressure on
Don't
the
get me wrong,
state.
Joe, I think
And
this is not good. It's not a good deal for
Maybe we need to show up in
the
person.
conditions of the sidewalk.
Maybe we need to show up in person.
Or
Yeah.
abominable.
And I can
Yeah.
tell you though, this
Never
is,
worked anything else.
what Joe's suggesting is what we did 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
It is. We sent a
When we
letter.
asked all these important executives up at V-Trans to come and walk the
And they
sidewalks with us.
did.
And they did.
And we had
And they were, I think,
senators and-
impressed enough to say, let's cough up some grant money for you, and that's where we are now.
But I guess the whole point is they didn't cough up enough
Right.
grant money.
Agreed?
The state should take care of the whole damn thing without any town help.
So, send
Agreed.
a letter, send it along, and I'd be happy to advocate. But I can't advocate without your.
Right.
Well, then, I'd make a suggestion
We have
that
a new Secretary of Transportation
Right.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I would
If you
suggest
want to
that,
do that,
Let's
I'd
do
be
it.
happy to do that.
Do it. Let's
let's
make a
see if that
motion.
does us any good. Maybe, I
The
don't-
one
Won't
thing
hurt
you
to
need-
try.
I
Doesn't
will
hurt.
caution you though, to the whole board, the one thing you need to do is make a commitment to that money before it disappears.
Well, that money is being thrown away in my estimation, because when they do the road over, every bit of that improvement, if it were to be done, is all gonna be ripped out. The state's money, the town's money, and any other money that goes into it, it's all being thrown away. And that don't make much sense, because we know we're gonna have a new road.
Put it in the letter. Don't get angry at me.
No, I'm not angry.
I'm
I'm not angry at anybody.
But it has to come from.
How much is a light for us?
But I think,
100,000?
I feel as though I'm beating on the wrong drum. I
Yeah.
think there's another drum that ought to be beat on.
Joe, you put it probably beat on the one that you gave.
And the problem to commit to this 100,000 is
Is-
not knowing whether the state's gonna be willing to do anything more.
Right.
Because if not, you don't
We're on
wanna
the hook.
necessarily commit if you don't feel like you wanna
Right.
throw another 100,000
No.
of town
I'm not
money
in
into
favor
it.
of starting all
So
over
Butch, what's the
again.
time
I'm not
frame for
either.
that?
We
To
could
commit
lose
to the
it.
money
We could
before
take
it's,
money away.
My whole thing is, I'm
okay.
my whole thing is still the safety issue. I don't care how much is a life worth or somebody, you know, yeah, it's money, maybe it's gonna be thrown away, but we're talking 10, 15, I'll bet you it's gonna be 20 years before they do this thing through Village. Well, I'll bet you, the way the state works, come on. And we're on the fast track, so, you know.
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to send a letter to the state, explaining again the problem. Maybe you've got some different people there. Maybe we can get a little more out of them. But I think we need to get a couple more bids on it. I mean, we're taking one person's bid, you know, and now he's saying, oh, I want 5% more this year and whatever. I think we need to get some other people in there looking at it so we get a better idea what it's gonna cost. Maybe we can find somebody who'll do it for 125,000. Who knows?
Whether they'll meet V-Trans requirements
Specifications,
is another
that's
story.
another thing.
It's another thing, it'd be great to kind of do a less formal process, but Wilk has been identified for us as quote-unquote the asphalt sidewalk experts. I'm happy to get other bids, but they might ask us, how serious are you about this
engineer.
project? Are you actually going to do the project?
Yeah.
But we can always ask for quotes. That doesn't take a lot of effort. So
Are
yeah,
they who did the sidewalk from the school up to the library?
I haven't.
No.
No.
That's a private contract.
That was private.
It was
Markowski.
Markowski.
Markowski did that sidewalk
Yeah.
in front of the
They hired
firehouse.
they hired a
What was the
subcontractor.
petition, what was the participation on
We
that?
got
That
a.
was state of.
Yeah, it was about when you added all those grants together, it was about 86% that the state picked up.
Yeah, and it took us 6 years
To get
from the
that.
time we started till the time we got finished.
Yeah,
Jumping through all the federal and state hoops.
we had to
And
meet
you're
federal
looking at doing the
stuff on
same, if you start the process over on this one,
that. Be the
you're
same
gonna get the
thing.
same thing again.
So then we might as well just say forget it and wait for the state to come through in another 15, 16 years.
Why don't I put together a letter for everyone to consider, and we can put it for further discussion?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'll
Yep.
see if I can get some more quotes.
I can't lose anything by
Right.
doing that.
I disagree, I think you can lose a lot.
I do too.
Because I remember when they were doing the Gorham Bridge over, we questioned them and asked for a steel bridge, spending money on a steel bridge that would carry traffic rather than a wooden bridge. And we were told, you take the money for the wooden bridge, or don't get any bridge. I can see the state doing the same thing on this one, because we've been screwing around for so long on it. We could be in the same boat.
Frankly, I think you're $100,000 further ahead on this project than you ever would have been. I think that was a gift
I agree.
at that time. Their choice was to say, we'll give you something, we'll give you nothing.
The problem is that it's a 50-50 gift rather than an 80-20 gift, which is what we
That's
usually
very
see with
true.
grants.
Because it's a different type of project.
Yeah.
And,
Small
that-
scale.
That was a gift at that time. I expected them at that time to say,
Say
absolutely
no,
not.
yeah.
We'll wait till we do it. But
And I agree, I
that's
think
causing so much problem.
it's a take it or leave it at this point.
Yeah.
So what's the board's pleasure? We're just gonna write a letter or we'll,
I'm not in favor of
to the library? I'm not either, but
If it doesn't do any good,
it's
it
either
won't do
yes
any
or no.
harm.
We either go or no.
it. Well, it could do a lot of harm, Joe. You could have nothing.
I don't know.
Is there a motion on the table?
Yeah, if we don't have a motion on the
No.
table, I don't know.
I think Dave was trying to suggest one.
I don't know.
I'll offer a
Well,
motion.
I'll make the motion that we send a letter to the state, see what we can find out.
I'll second that.
Well, a motion was made and seconded to send a letter to the state. Well, what do you want in the letter?
You'll review it before we send it.
Okay,
That's my understanding.
all right, okay.
I wouldn't want to take the.
So
burden
we're just gonna
No.
ask
I
what
think we all
the
should
chances
review
are
it.
to get more added to it.
Right.
Just let them know our situation and.
And we'll bring this up at the next meeting then,
All right.
as to what we're doing the letter.
Is that the consensus?
That's my, yeah.
Okay.
We'll have John
Well,
draft the letter to
vote
the
on
state, and we'll vote on it, make sure, we haven't voted on it yet.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Well, no, we haven't voted yet.
Okay, I thought you said it was
No,
a done deal.
oh, no.
No, we're just gonna
we're discussing
provide a
it.
draft letter
He's gonna provide a
as
draft
a
letter.
topic for
This is what we're doing.
conversation.
Right. So is that everybody's understanding?
No
Yes.
commitments.
If so, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No,
No. 3-2.
be careful what you wish for.
We won't set it out until we have further discussion.
I know, right?
Okay.
Nothing else. Nothing's happening right now.
Okay, we will recess the select board and open the public hearing on a public assembly ordinance.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just as a reminder, we had the first of 2 public hearings last month, and this is the second of 2. We had some good input, as some of these folks know, at the last meeting. Lots of good feedback. And the purpose of tonight, again, is just to get more feedback, more input, without necessarily committing anybody to any action at this time.
Okay.
So, with that said, you want to ask for public comment?
Yep. So
Input.
the floor is open. Bill? Well, you had the first question earlier, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I'm against this because I can easily envision somewhere down the road, if this ordinance is enacted, that it gets amended to go to smaller groups, or even who exactly is the subject of this ordinance. So once it's in there, it's easier to amend. So I'm against it for that reason. But also, it looks like we're trying to get a solution to a problem that doesn't really exist. In the last 3 to 5 years, how many events have we had in Pittsford that would be affected by this ordinance? And how many do you anticipate in the next 3 to 5 years? Pittsford isn't exactly a hotbed of carnivals and concerts and things like that, or other paid commercial events. So I just don't see it being necessary. And if you look at, a couple common sense reasons, 2 cases here. First case, we do nothing. We have a big event, there's a medical emergency. What's the response time of our first responders? I'd say pretty good, in spite of the fact we're a rural community with all volunteer services. Now, case 2, the ordinance is in effect, everyone's been duly notified, same event, same medical emergency. Now what's our response time? I think it's going to be the same. Nothing's changed other than the notification, unless you plan on having our emergency services on standby at the fire station or at the event itself, which doesn't appear to be the case. So what have you gained? Really nothing. Response time and the effectiveness of our emergency services are going to be the same whether you have the ordinance or not. So without those reasons alone, I just can't see it. Now let's look at just for a second what you're asking the event organizer to do. Suppose this organizer is planning on an event 75 people, so he elects not to go with a permit. 200 people show up. Now what happens? Does he get fined for a wrong guess? And what about the other way? He applies, gets the permit, the event is a bust, does he get a refund? And how are these people going to be counted? You have somebody from the town standing there at the gate? Of course, that doesn't make sense. By ticket sales, who's going to count the tickets? Are you going to trust the event organizer, or is somebody from the town going to have to count ticket stubs? And does that threshold number apply to the number of people on site at any one time? I'm thinking an event like a carnival or something along those lines. You may have 300 people attending, but no more than 75 at any one time. So does it apply in that case or not? And finally, the fee. I just, with computers and distribution list and form and computer, I'd say a hunt typist could fill in who, what, where, when, and a contact in about 3 minutes, and click send on the distribution list. Everybody would be notified. To have a fee of $50 with an hourly rate comes out to be about $500 an hour. It's just over the top. Even if you double that, I mean 6 months, that's where I got that number from. It just doesn't make sense in today's day and age. You can even have the requester fill out the form online, and when we got it here in town, it's just a matter of forwarding that information to department heads, whoever needs to be notified. That's it.
Thank you. Bill?
I'm Bill Gladsky, and my concern in this is because I run a church dinner at St. Alphonsus Parish in the fall. There's also a spring dinner, and there is more than 150 people that come and attend there, and it is a paid event. The way I read this would require a permit to conduct a church dinner, which is raising money for the church. I could also say that this would apply for Sunday Mass as well, because in many instances, there's greater than 150 people at certain services that would be in attendance. And it does say, even if a donation is taken, and in most churches, a donation is taken. So I'm concerned from those perspectives. And then if you do have a gathering, all the safety precautions that is necessary, police, fire, medical, which you would have to pay for. And as a nonprofit organization, there goes your funds. That's my main concern. Additionally, in the Rutland Herald, after the last meeting, there was discussion that there would be an amendment to the version that was published. I never saw that. I went looking for it. I could not find that amended version online. I came to the office here yesterday looking for that. Nobody had a copy of the amended proposed ordinance. So I don't know if the ordinance that we reviewed on the 19th of July is still valid, or there's been an amendment to that, I'm sorry, the 19th, I guess the June meeting. If this ordinance has been amended to update.
The answer is no. I've done no amendment draft language. We thought it'd be only fair to deal with one topic, one common set of language.
Okay, I was just going for what the article in the Rutland Herald so stated.
Right.
I'm also concerned of what this does not say. That if there was such an ordinance, to me there should be an exemption for churches. I would believe that this would apply to functions the Proctor Pittsford Country Club. It would probably also apply to the haunted house. That function would also fall under the auspices of this particular ordinance. That's my concern. The other thing was unclear to me, say for example, if you had an event that ran for 2 or 3 days, is the fee for each day or for the whole event? That's unclear. So, as I said, what this ordinance doesn't say concerns me as much as what it does say.
Yes.
On the subject of exemptions, it just doesn't make sense to me when I read it all either. It's what you're trying to say is people at a church, a large gathering of people at a church function, are less likely to need medical services on an emergency basis than a commercial paying event. Same size group of people, I would say they're roughly equal. Not that I'm against exemptions. It just seems that when you have exemptions,
Quite frankly, I question the whole need to
So
have
do I.
such a document.
May I speak?
But nevertheless, I'm dealing with a piece of paper that has been advertised and proposed.
Right. Hank?
I would just like to note that we were asked to do this by our police chief, and so to accommodate him, we put this out. Doesn't mean that we're, it doesn't mean that we're in favor of it. We just want to see what the public was, because
He's
most
on a
of us,
medical leave, man.
He just had surgery.
And this actually has been a great set of
Absolutely.
comments.
Yeah, I mean,
It's,
that's-
the public hearings are serving their purpose, which is sometimes to say, hey, that's a great idea, or hey, that's a bonehead idea.
but we're hearing a lot of things that that most of us agree with.
I just never did hear what event Chief Warfel observed that brought this whole thing on.
I don't know for sure, I can't.
I don't know.
Couldn't tell you, couldn't tell you. I can make some guesses, but I don't want to do that in public.
Any other comments? Anything else to come before this hearing? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting and go back into the select board.
I assume we're gonna take no action.
We're not gonna take any action at this point, are we? We don't need to, right? Next,
Perhaps the folks here would
I mean-
like to know what your plans are.
Yeah, I mean, what is the
well-
next step then?
I'm not in favor of the thing, so I
Nor
don't know
am
what.
Nor am I.
But you need
I
to,
guess all,
We need a motion
that
to,
all of the, from what I could hear, the people tonight spoke that they were not in favor of it, correct?
correct.
Okay.
I haven't heard
Then
anybody in
I
favor
think
of it.
I would like to make a motion that we do not adopt this ordinance. I
second.
think the public has
I don't
spoken, they're very
believe- I
clear
don't
they
believe-
don't want it,
I don't believe in
but we
order,
shouldn't be doing it.
I don't believe in order, you can't do a negative order.
No.
Oh, so we just
You
take
can either-
no
you can
action
either
at
not
all?
do it, you can do
Oh,
an
so we
order
just
in
take no
favor.
action?
We
Okay.
just
Take no action.
We take no action. There's been no,
But
we
the
don't
mi-
have an ordinance.
The minutes will reflect universal
yeah,
skepticism
the
and
board-
the desire not to
We
take
could
action.
take a poll of the
Correct.
board if who's in favor, who's not. I'm not in favor.
Not.
She's
favor.
not. Dave, you're not. Hank, you're not in favor. Joe, you're not. It's kind of unanimous. The board's not in favor of it either, so I think it's kind of a dead issue.
And maybe what we need to do is in our newsletter, just every newsletter have a little blurb. You know, if you're planning on having a big event, contact Chief Warfel to let him know.
Yeah, just out of courtesy. It's a nice.
Out of courtesy, exactly.
Exactly. But you got a comment.
So I just was thinking of procedural move that I've seen this board take previously, is to have a motion for a vote on the ordinance with a second, and then the vote would stand, whether it would be a positive or negative vote. That makes it a positive motion.
Yeah, we don't have an ordinance.
Then you'd be on record.
Even the way
Well, I think
Dave
by
started the
taking,
motion?
by taking no action,
was-
we have
that
the
was
same.
correct.
same
Yeah,
Just
thing.
because you make a motion doesn't make you necessarily in favor of it.
No.
Right.
But
Well,
by
I
taking no
agree.
action, it's the same
By
thing.
taking no action, you're doing
But
the
it
same
could
thing.
come back.
I don't think
Right,
anybody
come
wants
back
to make the
anytime.
motion.
Just a thought.
I'm just concerned,
Yeah,
as I look at this table, one election
could change the whole thing.
could change the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
complexion.
But it could anyway.
It could anyways, Bill.
That's true.
The next, somebody
We
next
could-
year could come along and say, we want an ordinance, and you're right back on the table again, whether we say no or yes, doesn't matter.
Or
They
you
could
could
still-
put one in
Unless you
there
put it
and
in,
take it out.
then you'd have to amend it. But at this point, we don't have an ordinance, and there's no intention of having one. So
This has
this
never
whole
come up
process
before,
would
right?
have to start all over again, as far
Sorry,
as
I
I'm
thought it was gonna
concerned.
come up again.
And, am I wrong on this one, Butch?
Well, I'm just trying to think about, because you've had two public hearings, do you have to take action?
No.
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 No action was taken. We had a hearing, that's all.
Catch that up.
It's a suggested motion, it's a suggested item that didn't get, nobody voted on,
Got it.
so it's a dead issue.
Got it.
And somebody could bring it back up next year or next month, but, I don't know.
Do we want to double check with VLCT? We could always vote on it next meeting if we find
Double
out
check
that
it, make
for
sure.
some reason we needed
Yeah,
to
if we have to do it, we will.
If we have
formally,
to
you know.
take a stake through its heart, we will do so.
I think we're good.
Sharpen it.
Yeah. I think we're good on it. All right, let's go into new business. Yep.
Yeah, we're
You
doing
can,
the
yes, the hearing's concluded.
Okay.
You're free to leave if you want. We thank you for coming. We thank you for your input.
Welcome.
Indeed.
New business. Update on the preparations for Pittsford Day.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we had a good meeting on July 11th of key players, and I can report that the tent, the table, the chairs are ordered, musical acts are secured, kids' games are all lined up. We've discussed and we'll plan on advertising the presence of a car show for this year's event, as well as a petting zoo, courtesy of Liz Willis.
Oh, yay.
I hope I don't have to be.
We have gotten confirmation of a helicopter fly-in from the Vermont National Guard. I wonder if we lost Dave.
Dave, you there?
Nope.
Nope, it's blinking.
I'm not in favor of a petting zoo because she has a sheep named Hank.
Hey, Dave, is that you?
Poor
No.
Dave, you don't know whether he's here or not.
Hey, Dave, is that you?
Yeah,
There we are.
hung up on me again.
Yeah, it goes dead, I think.
had
Alicia
something
did.
against you. I
Wasn't
don't
me,
know.
wasn't
It was
me.
Alicia. She's closest to the phone, Dave.
Alicia did it while I, okay, sure. It-
Wasn't me, wasn't me.
I think
So we
after
just,
59 minutes, I think it shuts me
I
off.
think
Yeah.
it does, yeah, it does.
we were just going through Pittsford Day preps, and we notified everybody that we're not only going to do the usual stuff, but also a car show and petting zoo this year. And the Vermont National Guard will have a fly-in static display like they have previously. We will have our square dancing friends there. There'll be a free barbecue dinner, followed by more music and fireworks. We are looking for volunteers. We've heard good input from our friends at the Pittsford Village Farm for a Sunday morning breakdown. And we're also looking for volunteers who might want to help Friday afternoon into the evening to help set up, although the biggest need has been for Sunday breakdown, I believe. We're also welcoming easily served desserts, brownies, things that can be sliced and dished up easily without too much fuss and mess. So thank you, as always, for helping everybody.
Okay, thank you, John. Discussion of the online presence by Alicia.
Or the lack thereof.
Or the lack thereof, yeah.
So, and I think that it already had been discussed too, that our website itself really needs some updating. It's not, I don't know how often any of you go on or hear from other people. It's just, it's not easy to navigate. And Randy does a great job of promoting the rec. So when you get on it though, it's just like, yeah, like you have to scroll for, like, especially when I'm using my phone, like you have to scroll for a long time just to even find out what the phone number and hours are for the town office. It's just not easily, it's just not easily used.
If I can just jump in.
Yeah.
I just did get today an idea from our current website person who originally set up the site or updated it 10 years ago, and then about 4 or 5 years ago offered to do an update and did so. I asked him what would be involved with a further update because the digital world changes so quickly. And he said, yeah, thanks for your note. It's a great idea, an opportunity to revisit the site and improve it where possible. Beyond a new, more modern look and bells and whistles, I think revisiting the architecture of the site to make sure things are easy to find would be helpful. Perhaps a less text-heavy presentation and trying to incorporate more relevant images with content. Do you have a budget in mind? Not to cut right to the chase, but then I can propose something that gives you the most bang for your buck. I can say the low end of a price range for a renovation of a site like yours would be $2,500 or up, depending on desired features that might need to be developed. That's just input from one person who has
This is who's been doing it all
managed
along.
our site.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Jackson Whalen,
High school project. Oh, high
former
school
former Pittsford resident who's now relocated out west.
John, what about Otter Valley, a high school student? They must do this stuff in school all the time.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I would think maybe it'd be a project, I don't know.
I went to Stafford last year for the Pittsford Village Farm, and we had exactly, I went to Otter Valley first. They said, no, we can't help you. We would like
Maybe
to-
Stafford can. yeah.
So I went to Stafford, they gave me a young fella who did it, Alicia probably can speak better to this, but did an okay job.
But not great,
But,
not great.
you know, you get what you pay for.
Well, that's true.
Maybe it's like the hippies used to say, don't trust anybody over 30. I think that anybody under 40 would be good because they're much more tech savvy in general.
Yeah, that's why I think some kid, I mean, I have trouble with my cell phone.
Implicitly biased.
Yeah.
No doubt, no
So
doubt.
ultimately, though, it segues into part
Yeah.
2 of what I'd like to talk about. The website is like old school. There
Yeah.
aren't that many people that are, I think the website needs, I don't think we need to spend $2,500 for what we need to do, just to have a completely stripped down, more user-friendly version of the website that really should just have links to. Pittsford Rec already has a Facebook page and all that stuff goes on it, and Randy is amazing about updating it and keeping and talking about all kinds of stuff that are going in town. And I think Pittsford, the town of Pittsford, needs its own Facebook page, and that's free. Also saves us ad money. I would talk to Rutland Town, West Rutland, Rutland City, just to get an idea of how people
They do it.
worked their Facebook pages. Like West Rutland doesn't advertise anything in the newspapers anymore. You know, like even I wonder if we could find somebody to do the shed roof by throwing that out on Facebook. Like you definitely do reach more people that way. And I
Oh,
know not
yeah.
everyone here uses Facebook, so I don't know
I do.
if you. I know you do. So it's just
One of the things I do.
It's a great communicated.
there all the time.
You know, it's just a great communication tool. Like even. It's free. I went on. I do follow West Rutland's. I do follow a handful of towns, and like even I was for mostly for you guys because I know you guys aren't on, so I just wanted to give you an idea of what like if you were to go on West Rutland's Facebook page right now, they have immediately in right under the town name picture. You can direct message, so you can get right to the town office right through the Facebook. And then, like, they just included tax bill reminders. They have pics of the town, like, all throughout, really pretty pictures. So they're promoting the beauty of their town. There's business spotlights, local events. Missing animals is a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, that it spreads so
That's-
quickly. People find their dogs
They
within
do.
hours.
It's amazing.
Job and vendor postings, road closings. They had an amazing map for their townwide yard sale. And I could go on and on. So, I mean, there's just really not a negative.
No.
How about people capable of administering a Facebook page?
So
I
ta-
certainly would
Yep,
not
the
be.
town manager of West Rutland does it. Marianne does hers. I'm not saying that you
No,
should.
no, maybe I could learn how to
throwing
do
you
it,
under
but it's certainly nothing I'm competent
No.
with now.
I mean, it's not
No.
difficult, and there's also, she actually showed me too how, because I'd never seen an admin page, because I only have my own personal Facebook page. She showed me all the, like you can filter it as heavily as you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can take out, it automatically would take out profane language if you check that box.
Are you sure you're talking about some interactivity
Yeah,
with the
because
public?
all the towns that I looked at do allow comments from the public, and occasionally
There's
there will get the one or two people who,
Yeah, bad.
you know,
yeah.
get
Yeah.
fired
Bad
up about
characters,
something and
yeah.
take it in the wrong direction. But you can filter people. The comments just won't even show up if they hit certain
Well, I
criteria.
certainly would counsel caution on an interactive chat room type page, because VLCT gave us 11 pages of cautionary notes that first, you'd have to have someone who, again, is monitoring the page frequently and cleaning it up. But then if you clean it up too much, you're violating somebody's First Amendment rights of comment and free speech. And how about the event where you have multiple select board members taking
Well,
part
no,
in
that
the
can't happen
conversation?
because then that violates
That's
open
a-
meeting.
that's an open meeting law.
You can't do that.
So I mean, that's the area, the chat room, the forums, that makes me most nervous, simply because of the liability that goes with it, or could go with it. Who's to say what's offensive? Who's to say what's not constructive conversation?
Yeah.
Am I going to be, or whoever's going to be monitoring it, are they going to be keeping people who have useful but contrary things about the select board chair or the town manager off? And that's not right.
No,
No.
But on the other hand, you could do the opposite and let it go, and then it becomes a real race to the bottom, where negativity and kind of obscenity can become an issue. The concern I have also is maybe there's a way to smoke out people's identities, but if you just have a screen name, that's kind of like anonymous commentary.
well, yeah,
You don't
anybody
know where
can
it's
create a
coming
Facebook,
from.
fake Facebook profile, but I think that, and I understand where you're coming from. I just think that it's from all the towns that I've talked to, it's not been an issue. Like occasionally they have somebody who's, again, gets fired up about an issue. The way they've dealt with it is really just to like shut down with just like, first of all, keep their Facebook page just about town business and just about facts.
Right.
You know, and keep it upbeat and positive, you know, just to, so it's a great way though to notify people. Like, I think we would get more people at our meetings if we were, you know, reminding people of when the meetings were, because it's, people check their Facebook numerous times a day. It's going to be in their face.
I'm told that some managers, I just talked to one yesterday, use, I don't know what the site is called, Chimp something, in which
No, MailChimp.
MailChimp. And he does like a weekly update of what's happening in town with the ability each week to gather input, not just from the departments, but from anybody who wants people to know about their spaghetti supper or their village farm event or their legislative breakfast. And that would be a way to more frequently than we do now communicate, but not open the Pandora's box of other people behaving in ways that could be problematic. Also, with a Facebook page, there's always the problem of disinformation, rumor, and to the extent the town's kind of associated with it, I wondered, do we kind of get the stink that attaches to that kind of stuff?
I don't think so.
These are just cautionary notes from somebody who's...
I know, but I think I
skeptical.
get that, and your lawyer brain's working, but
Okay.
I think that you're,
Okay.
yeah, worrying too much, and I mean, that's just the way people are communicating, and I think it's the best way to
But something
communicate.
we could try,
And
if
it's-
it doesn't
and it's
work out, we
marketing.
shut it down.
Well, it's true, because again, with the settings, if we find that like, oh my God, there's a few people that
They're
really are just
abusing it,
like
then-
abusing it, you can just switch off the comment section, and then it's just one-way communication.
Right.
We're just letting people
No.
know.
Cannot
can't,
just
no.
switch off the comments.
Mm-mm.
Because
Well, and another way we could do it is open it up without the comment section and get it going so people get used to it. And then if we find that people would like to be able to comment, we can try that.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't work, we can take it off later.
Yeah.
But it might be good just to start with a one-way street first.
And I think that would be a fine idea. And honestly, like, again, I follow like the Facebook pages of like 5 or 6 area towns. People rarely comment. Like, I know I see everything that comes up. People rarely comment. People will like, you know what I mean? But they won't take the time, because we're not talking about super, like, you know, excitable things necessarily, you know? Talking,
Let me ask you this, does it make sense, are you interested in updating the website, and as a component of that, perhaps generating an associated Facebook page with the help and consultation of our web person, or are we interested in going out and seeking help from new people to help us with a website redesign, or some sort of training or tutorial for whoever it is that's going to be asked to monitor a Facebook page and create content for it? I mean, do you have any particular thoughts along those lines? As
Well,
to
no, we wouldn't
how to
pay,
go
we
from
wouldn't
here
pay
to
somebody
there?
to admin the Facebook page.
No.
It would be one of us.
Right, yeah.
And then that's just how all the towns just have one I mean, you can have, and I talked to Randy about it
You
a
can have
little
more
bit
than one
today.
person too.
What?
You can have more than one
Oh,
person.
yeah, yep.
One person's good because you have consistency at least.
Right.
You won't have disagreements
I know
about
the fire department.
one approach
we had
versus another
2 people
approach.
administer,
Yeah.
so that, you know.
And then, I mean, web design's not in my
No, mine
area of
either.
expertise, so I don't, $2,500 seems like a lot to me to update something, but I
It's already
have
there.
no frame of reference,
Right.
and I just don't think, I think it needs to be updated, but I don't think it should be the sole focus, like, I don't
Right,
know.
right.
It's-
I'm just saying that maybe there's a way to package this into an overall new approach to the digital world here.
I think there's, well, with the exception of if you wanted to put a link on the updated website that linked to
Okay.
both you know, we start our own Facebook page, plus again, the rec already has a Facebook
Yeah,
page
yeah,
started.
yeah.
Other than that, they'd be separate. I mean, the Facebook thing is easy and free.
Okay. I'm speaking out of ignorance because I don't go
I'm
near
with
it.
you, John. I got a page, but as far as, how do I do it, I don't know.
Yeah,
Either
yeah.
way,
Yeah,
but
okay, thanks. As public officials, and as certain laws apply to you, those laws apply to me too in my job.
Mhm.
They apply to every state employee, they apply to as far up as the government. Now, John, word of caution, you got the VLTC about violating somebody's First Amendment rights,
Mhm.
you have to be really careful.
Yep.
Freedom of
If you take
speech.
somebody's comment down
Mhm.
because it's offensive, you could be, it may be offensive to you, but it may not be offensive to me in the same conversation. You can end up in court.
Well, but a lot of the Facebook pages already have notices on them.
The governor's office has 2 full-time people that monitor Facebook every single day, all day long. Not just 8 hours a day,
Mhm.
they monitor his Facebook page 24 hours a day.
And maybe it'd just be helpful if I could just do a quick summary of the VLCT input that I've highlighted. The social media policy and guidance says, for example, the benefits of using social media must be weighed against the potential risks. The allowance of posts or comments that are obscene, threatening, or defamatory. What is it that the town's trying to accomplish? Who will be responsible for account and content management, administration, and training? Does your municipality have the resources to implement this policy and use social media effectively? For some municipalities, balancing the benefits of using social media with its associated risks may result in the realization that a traditional website will satisfy the same goals and objectives. The simplest course is for a municipality to use social media platforms as a means for one-way communication from the government to the public. If a town decides to open any of its social media platforms to public comment, then the municipality must designate someone to moderate the comments to ensure they're not profane, obscene, threatening, sexual, defamatory, encourage illegal activity, etc. Generally, the First Amendment restricts the government from discriminating against speech based on content or viewpoint. Therefore, when a municipality enables users to comment on its social media platform, it cannot edit or remove a comment simply because it's critical of the municipality or an official. A limited public forum allows discussion of certain topics. User comments must be related to the subject or they're removed. One example is a municipality's Facebook page that has been enabled to allow users to post comments and replies to municipal posts. Conversely, a government speech forum, it's more limited, is available only for a municipality to convey information to the public. Public user comments are disabled on government speech forums. Many official municipal websites are government speech forums used exclusively by municipalities to post information about events.
That's what you're talking about.
Not easy.
She's talking about 2 ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but there, what Johnny was just talking about was the one way.
Well,
But
which is-
Facebook, you're going out to inform the public, period.
Right.
Right, I think the comment section's great, because I think that whether people are critical or not, I mean, that's part of the process. I mean, we should be open to criticism. It's the cursing that you can take it out, you can just make sure that people, like if somebody's getting, without violating their First Amendment rights, if somebody's using abusive language, that can be monitored out. But if everybody's really overly concerned about it, it can be made one way. But I think it's time to I mean, we're like the only town that doesn't have one. Everybody else seems to be functioning fine with,
I have, other than you, Alicia, I've heard from nobody expressing the need for a social media presence. Doesn't mean you're not right.
No, I mean, I hear
I
from-
haven't heard it.
yeah, well.
Maybe I
it's-
wouldn't.
Yeah, because you're not on
I
Facebook.
guess I would offer the suggestion that you start
With a one-way.
with the municipal, here's what we're doing, here's the information. If people are concerned,
Gonna
they
contact
wanna-
us.
they can come here to the meetings, or they can come in to talk to John or Randy, what have you. That doesn't shut them
No,
down.
I mean,
from
that's fine.
comment.
Again, it does seem like everybody's concerned, so you just shut off the comment section, and that way everybody's getting the
And
information.
one thing we can do to
without having to respond.
One
or
thing we can
needing-
do to facilitate
Right.
conversations with the elected representatives like the select board is, on the website or through the Facebook, we can also identify, who the select board members are. We already have your pictures posted.
Right,
We could also
and phone
post your
number.
phone numbers and email
Yeah.
addresses. That'd be one way to make it easier to reach you, which I think is what it's all about, to have good functioning democracy, right?
Well, right, that's my whole point
Yeah,
with it.
no,
I just
I'm
think
with
that,
you.
it's
I'm
an
with you.
easier way to reach more people in town, like, not, unfortunately, a lot of people don't read the paper anymore.
Right.
I mean, like, we're only reaching people in Pittsford the way it's been done for a long time, and there's just a new, better way.
Right, right, right.
Way that's gonna reach more people, and I think that that's very important.
I would think one way would be the way to start, if I'm gonna start it. I'd start it with a one way.
Alicia and I had a conversation last night about her
Did you?
contacting me and what medium I appreciate her contacting me is because, and I choose to contact my constituents for the most part, contact me via email on my Ledge account or my personal account, hence.
Works for me.
Yeah, and it does. But if I have a negative, nasty comment that I'm not crazy about on Facebook, before I delete it, I have the opportunity to go to legislative council and have them advise me
Whether you should or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have that.
And I should really talk to the same folks you've been talking to see how they do
Mary Ann
it.
said give her a call.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Actually, she said she'd be calling you.
Good, good.
She said-
Good.
I agree with Eric. You gotta almost start with a one way.
And that's
Yeah,
fine. I
see how it
mean,
goes.
you know, I understand the caution. I just, and no disrespect, but I mean, I think maybe because of the people in this room are not like so.
We're not
pro-
your age.
No, but I agree with Facebook.
Like we're missing a huge group
Careful
of people.
about who you speak.
Hey, I know you're on Facebook all the time, Dave.
Dave, she's looking over at me, Hank, and Joe.
But really, I mean, I think, you know, I would love to see younger people start coming, anybody, not just, it's not even an age thing, but just there, you know, there's a certain demographic of people whose almost primary form of communication is Facebook. And I think that we'd be missing out on reaching out to a lot of people and keeping people in town informed without utilizing that.
Are there thoughts from the select board about who they would like to see administer a Facebook page?
I have no problem doing it, unless you want to let Mary Ann
Yeah, let me talk to
talk.
Mary Ann.
Yeah, because she
And then-
does theirs.
I'd be interested to know just the logistics of gathering
Yeah.
information,
Right.
Yep.
pressing the button, sending it.
And there's two people, it's her and I forget who else, maybe the
Yeah, we
town
wanna
clerk,
be
someone else,
careful
but
what
like, so,
information goes out
John,
on
I think
the
you should get a letter
official.
from her so we can take a look at it to make sure everything's up and up.
Get an email from Mary Ann.
Yeah, a letter.
A letter delivered by carrier pigeon.
you guys are killing
I
me.
told you.
I'll saddle up the horse tomorrow and ride over.
Goodness.
Coming through your window next thing you know.
Speaking of dead horses,
All right, well,
Okay,
that's enough of
I
that.
gotcha.
I think we should move on.
we should
I'll,
move
I'll,
on
I'll
now.
give you an update at our next meeting.
You're gonna take care of that, John. Okay, we've got to
One thing I had, you were talking about $2,500 to update the website. Given the highway overruns, the other expenses we've had this year, I think we ought to hold off on that if anybody's thinking about doing it.
I don't think we should-
I don't think anybody mentioned that.
No.
so.
Agreed.
Okay, well, I know it was mentioned earlier
Yeah,
on, so.
no, we're not talking
Yeah,
about
I mean, I think it was mentioned as far as I think that we all agree the website needs an update,
Yeah,
maybe
but not for that
not
kind
for
of money.
$2,500.
Not for 20, okay.
No. Okay, moving on. We've got a request from the Village Farm to waive the recreation area fees.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just point out, this is a very modest request, it sounds like. They've got a concert series. Most of the time, it'll be sunny and nice, but I think they've approached Randy with the thought of, what about an alternate venue if there's bad weather, but we've already got people coming and the band's going to be ready to go, and maybe the pavilion would serve that function. The real reason I bring it up, absolutely frankly, is because and in the past, the Select Board has expressed caution about being supportive of the village farm, but not subsidizing it. And to some degree, if they're asking for a waiver, they're asking the town to somewhat subsidize their events if there's bad weather. That's the only reason I bring it before you.
Yep.
My only concern, what if the thing is booked? I mean,
So far,
You'd
this
have
year,
to-
there's no conflicts
okay.
through
If there was a
August
conflict,
13th.
That's the only problem I would have with it. but-
And obviously, if it was booked, that would take precedence,
Well, yeah.
so.
Yeah, no, that's, my thoughts are, if they want to book those dates that they listed, then they need to, plan on paying for it. But if they just want to use it, if it's not booked, then it's okay for them to do it. Just, we aren't going to hold it for them. If somebody, a week beforehand
Oh,
wants
yeah,
it
yeah.
that next Sunday,
Yeah.
and we can get money for it, we need to do it.
Right.
But otherwise, if nobody has booked it, I have no problem with them using it.
I don't either. That was my
Yeah.
concern. If somebody.
Normally, it's a $90 reservation charge, that's all.
Yeah, but,
Non-refundable.
I guess that's right.
yeah, it
I know,
is.
if you say so, boss.
You know, if it's not booked and they can luck out on it, I don't have a problem with waiving
Yeah.
the fee, but.
Yep.
But for them to actually say, we want it,
Right,
they'd have to,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
if it's free, yeah, it would be free. I guess that's the thing.
So if they, if they want to book, because there was a list of dates,
Right,
and if they want to lock those
Well,
dates
yeah.
in right now,
Yeah, that's different.
and they use one of those dates, then they have to pay.
why don't we ask,
Is that,
they
you know,
want
is
to
that
leave
what
it
you're
open.
thinking, or no?
why don't we ask
And-
Baird Morgan right now?
They're sitting here.
Well, if the place is not booked, and let's say last night, we had a rainy night, and the pavilion hadn't been booked, I would like to be able to use that without having to pay for it. I mean, we're not making money on these. This is really, these are intended as town, community events where people get together and have picnics and visit with one another. This is not a money maker for us at all. I think last night we took in $89. That doesn't cover the cost of the
You would be able to book it. You lost the buck.
If we couldn't do that, the Furnace Grove Church has offered us, they've been very kind to us, and we've used their facility for meetings, and we could use it for a rain, but it's not a great venue for a concert, frankly.
Well, I would think that if they get rained out, they can, and it's not booked, they could use it. Otherwise,
That's my feeling, yeah. If it's available,
Yeah.
say you got one tomorrow night and rain and there's nobody over there,
Only Tuesdays.
Go for
Just
it.
Tuesdays.
go for it, right?
Yep.
Do we need a motion on it? We probably should.
Yeah, that never hurts to take official action.
I think we should have official action that if the venue is not booked and they need to use it for rain date, we would waive the fee. I'll make that as a motion.
Okay, second.
So we got a motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carried unanimously.
Hey.
Okay, our last item,
Serious question.
Yes.
Who is they?
the village.
Village Farm.
Pittsford Village
Pittsford Village Farm. She's got it. Going to discuss the replacement and removal of the shrubs out here in the front of the office, which
Yeah.
are deplorable.
Al Roberge did fine work on the sides and the back of the building last year for no cost to the town other than the cost of the plants, no labor. And this year, he's offering to do the same treatment up front with a very modest labor charge of $300. That would include excavating with the highway crew's help the dead and dying bushes up front as you walk in the building and replacing them with a couple of rows of boxwoods, along with some other plantings that are sketched out in a document that I think you got in your packet.
Yeah, we do.
And,
So-
yes,
I was standing outside today while I was waiting for you to come with the key.
okay.
And I was checking it out, and here, the only dead planting we have is right here. I don't think the rest of this is necessary. All the rest of the plants are healthy. Why would we dig up everything for just the dead bushes that are
don't know
right
that.
around the front?
I don't know that the plan is to remove everything. But
Well, then
we'll
why
see.
is it $2,573?
Plants are expensive.
No, he's got the whole thing redone.
Yes,
This is
it's-
all new plantings.
What you've got is, I think, the letters identifying the spot of plantings and the dotted lines representing a place where there'd be some perennial flowers.
No, I get it. I've done
And
some
then-
landscaping designs before, but this
Yeah.
he's ripping up everything and replacing everything. That's why it's so much. When we only have dead stuff right by the sidewalk, that seems
Do we have a
excessive.
boxwood hedge out there?
No.
We don't.
No,
Putting that
it's
in.
like a juniper you
Yeah.
crap.
Something that's low and manageable in terms
Right.
of size,
Some
not
of these,
growing out of
they
its
grow-
space.
They grow out of height, and they're
Yeah.
so old and.
I don't think we need to spend that when we only have a tiny bit of dead. We only need to replace the stuff right at the corners.
Yeah, but don't we
I
have
think
some
it
funding
wasn't
in
just to
the-
replace, I don't think the idea was just to
in the
remove
Dennison fund?
unsightly plants, but to
Spruce it up and.
spruce
make-
up the
bring it
front
yeah.
entryway. But, I'm no horticulturist. If you wanted to, we could have Al come and speak to the entire board about his plans. I guess I view this as relatively non-controversial, so that's why I just put it as an information topic rather than an action topic, because I do have the authority to spend up to $5,000, but certainly if you don't want me to spend this kind of money, I won't do it.
Don't we have some money in the building fund?
We do have a town building fund, which gets, I think, $10,000 a year for various purposes. This is a one-time only expense, other than the minimal maintenance that you might need from Brad Keith, who's already on contract. Again, like I said, I think he hasn't put much of any labor into it. By the way, on an unrelated but somewhat related topic, I guess, he has also talked with the Chief Hooker and Hank Pelkey about his willingness to dress up the area by the Pittsford welcome sign that had gotten the flower treatment last year from Kate Kennedy. He said he'd be happy to dress that up properly with some additional evergreens, some bark mulch, and to maintain it for the rest of his life for free.
He's already done some work down there.
Yes,
I
yes.
noticed it when I came by.
So anyway, I think Al's heart is certainly in the right place. Whether we agree with his plan as maybe too ambitious or not ambitious enough, I
No,
don't
I
know.
think it's a great
he's
idea.
okay.
I just don't think that's a lot of money to spend just for. And because you guys aren't on Facebook, maybe you didn't know that Jane Cornell just got a shout out for all the plantings she did up right
But
against
that's
them.
along the building, and it looks great.
Oh, good.
And the rest of it needs to be brought up to
So I
date
don't
to
think
do
we
it.
need to dig those up.
I don't know. Personally, it's up to the discretion of the town manager. We've got the money in the building fund.
I will have a further conversation with Al to see if we can't pare it back, if that's the pleasure
I know,
of the
because
board.
even those boxwoods, that's $70 a boxwood plant.
You could argue perhaps we don't need the hedge to extend
That's a lot
the
of money.
full length. He's only got it, actually, this might be misleading to the extent that if you look at the scale, he's only got them 8 feet in either direction in the front along the sidewalk, and the full 12 feet before you get to the overhang in the front sidewalk. So obviously the building frontage is longer than 16 or 18 feet. I don't think he's anticipating the entire amount taken up with it. And he does point out that there's grass lawn around the perimeter of that. So I don't know that reflects the full footprint of the front of the building. That's all I'm saying. It looks like it's more intense than maybe.
I agree with Tom, the town manager has full authority in
Yeah, I'd love.
Proposing to tear everything out and start it all over.
Not everything, no. He's talking about replacing the dead bushes up front that are obviously ravaged by probably the salt.
Yeah,
think,
and
or
some of the
age.
stuff is being overgrown. It's been there so long. It's
Turning brown
And,
and
well, and then when they trim it, they got to trim it.
weeded.
Some of those, he just trimmed it. And look how long those come out. I mean, it looks like it does not look appealing out there. I'm sorry, Mr. Town Manager, do your thing.
I will, and I'll keep in mind everybody's input.
Do your
Okay.
thing.
Dave, if you have any input, stop on by and tell me what you like or don't like.
Right, go price check those $70 boxwood hedges.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with Alicia. It's a lot of money for a few dead plants, but maybe there's something in there that I don't realize either. So
Okay.
just keep me posted, John. That's
Okay,
all.
I sure will. By the way, what's your planned ETA in Pittsburgh?
Hopefully a week from today. But
Jeez, you're still all the way on the
Wow.
west coast, though, right?
That's going to be.
yeah, well,
probably
probably
moving.
so. Yeah, we've moved a little ways away from the ocean, but not too far.
You got some trucking to do if you're going to be here in a week.
I know.
No, I could be there. And,
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
if I did it alone, but yeah.
Yeah. Butch.
Well, I just heard John say the word trim. I don't know which hat to put on here.
Yeah.
Which hat not to put on. But I noticed last night, and I had been noticing for a while, that the vegetation around the emergency management siren
That's been
Yes.
taken care of.
is higher. It's being, or it did.
It's being done.
Oh, okay.
We took,
we've
we
met-
took some trees down, and
And
Chief Hooker
there's
and I
more
met
coming
with Chad.
down.
There's more coming down.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. I'm done.
We're going at least 10 feet out around it and dropping all those trees. And if that doesn't work, we're going to take the big pine tree down next.
We're gonna
It used to be higher.
Huh?
Siren was higher.
Dropping
than
trees.
We should put that out for bid.
We should, yeah. Joe, you want to bid on that project? We're going 10 feet beyond the siren. Is that something you can handle?
Get brush.
Yeah, just
That's easy.
Leave the big dead
Yeah, leave the ball.
100-foot high piece
See,
of.
way ahead of you, chief.
Yeah, geez, Yeah, it's about time.
You know how we work together. Okay. Are we, if that's, anybody got anything else? I think we're,
Session. Pittsford Day for
Executive
session.
session.
Pittsford Day, yeah?
Car show, you call that a car and motorcycle?
Yes, we gotta clear the
Anything you
advertisement.
wanna bring, show, bring it.
Truck 2,
Yeah.
car, truck, motorcycle.
You wanna bring a pickup, a wheelbarrow, whatever you got that you're proud of.
Motorized wheelbarrow?
Motorized wheelbarrow, I
Yeah.
don't care. I know they do.
Bring with you. One or two brown.
Concrete.
Yeah. Bring what you got. If not, we thank everybody for coming.
Yes.
And we'll adjourn the meeting.